Hey everybody, this is Chad Warren from theadventurerchannel.com/blog reporting to you here in the wonderful Capitol View neighborhood of Littlerock, Arkansas. And the reason why I got on here is because I just helped a friend move and happened to be within 20 minutes walking distance of the Arkansas State Capitol. And that's important because there is a question online that needs some local confirmation, which is, has the Lucifer statue, or satanic statue, been moved that I have heard was placed at the Capitol? So I'm going to go confirm that, and I'll be with you when we get there. This just came up while I'm walking down there, so I thought I would share it with you. This is Aliu's post. I believe he lives in Algiers. And it says, does racism really exist in the United States, or is it just the media? I could go on at length about this, but we'll bring it down to the response, to my response that interests me. Stephanie Y. Satt says, it exists and I don't believe the media blows it out of proportion. I've seen it firsthand. Okay, and so I said, when the media warns parents about a new internet trend of a suicide challenge, this increases suicides or the risk of suicide. How? By having parents introduce an unfounded fear into their children when they follow the command to have a talk from the media. Before the news story, only a very few were affected. After, many more are, because the bigger threat is fear itself. Racism is the same. Anyone can interview people on the street, and unless they are too infected by Marxist ideology, they accept that individuals can withstand trends that demand they conform to what is popular. If you trust Marxists, then only people with white skin are racist and must be punished by the commie corporate New World Order government to achieve equality. It's a new version of Hebrew law, an eye for an eye, and it's the TV and their consumer minions who decide what is justice. Racism is when people believe in race. Instead, that people are individuals in colored skin. Focusing on racism makes it worse. I've had a progressive throw beer on me at a party because he brought up the Obama birth certificate topic, and I commented that many Photoshop experts noticed image editing layers in the document, which only further inflamed those in the public who questioned his citizenship, much like how McCain would also be ineligible under current law. But to commies, they can't accept they are misinformed, so I was labeled a racist instead of a diligent researcher. Stephanie's reply, I'm not going to read you blah 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 on. I live in the midst of racism every day, but you, ma'am, seem to be so educated and a know-it-all. Please continue with your nonsense bullshit, you sheep. You say that what I say is unimportant, yet I'm supposed to respect what you say with no evidence to support it. You called me a woman when you know I'm not a woman. That's insulting. Your attack on my character shows that you are threatened by what you cannot defend against with hate speech. You are racist because you define everything by race, and you feel you have a right to attack people with white skin. All right. Okay, so here I am at the Arkansas State Capitol building, and you know what's weird is I can't remember if I personally saw the statue or not. I might be thinking of the Ten Commandments statue that I heard that it replaced. I'll tell you this, if there was a Luciferian statue that did replace the Ten Commandments statue, then that is not the way that it is portrayed in the media and in the minds of most people, in that it's a different thing in the place of its opposite. It's actually a transformed mode of the first object. Both come from Zionist Kabbalism, which has to do with how in the Bible, you know, when Moses went up on the mountain to receive the Ten Commandments, and then when he came back down, the Israelites had backslid and started making burnt offerings to Baal, paganism. In actuality, this is a deception in that the Jewish people were heavily influenced by their time in captivity in Babylon, because what happened, according to the story, is that King Cyrus chose to integrate the Jewish people into his kingdom instead of fight them, because they moved rocks for a living and they were mercenaries, because they had separated from when they were Sumerians into their Hebrew tribe offshoot. And yeah, I kind of lost my point there, but the point is that most people only know the Bible side of that. But when you research who King Cyrus is in Babylon and what happened to that captivity, what happened, hi y'all, is that the way that King Cyrus integrated the Hebrew people is that he educated them. He taught them how to be bureaucrats and to run his kingdom. Okay? So here we go. Here's the Ten Commandments statue. So I'm assuming that that text at the top is some kind of old Hebrew, I would assume. Looks pagan. And then of course we have the Eye of Providence here, the all-seeing eye and the sun. Okay, and then we have this, I think that's called Pax Romanus, is that symbol there with the P. And then we have the Star of Saturn, the Star of David. So that all has to do with astrotheology. When Christians, Muslims, and Jews, if they don't understand the value of the stars and that the holy books are really to be understood as analogies instead of literal, but it's always that humanity is designed that there are fewer people that have eyes to see and ears to hear metaphorical language. And that is the natural struggle between the people who have more heart and more intellect against brute nature and brute humanity. So really, to judge one as better than the other is not accurate. And it is also true that materialism is, of course, exacerbated by the centralized authority over the spiritualism, which fortunately there are websites like Spirit Science that are a testament to how this manufactured division is being brought down, and we're being reintegrated into a whole by the same people that divided us. So, from my understanding of Masonry, somebody has to be in that role to tell everybody else what to do, and many people have to be in the role that I am to defend against that. So I think that I half agree and half disagree with Masons, which are essentially Luciferians or Zionists. Basically, the Luciferian commandment is only one commandment, and it's that do what thou willst is the whole of the law. And I agree with that. However, what the people with all the money and the people with all the left brain dominant intellect, specifically that would be the Ashkenazi Jews, because evidently there have been studies that show even if you have Jewish people, just Jewish people, and they're learning their religious studies in a special school, that the Ashkenazi variant of that manufactured group is smarter in terms of left brain, remembering facts. So that's an interesting topic there, and they misuse their own people, just as governments always attack their own people. Hey guys, I got a question over here from my website if you want to participate. Have y'all heard that there was a Luciferian statue installed here on the grounds of the Capitol? Okay, I'm genuinely asking for information. Yeah.
No, they just brought it on a flatbed and left.
It was just on a flatbed and it left, so it never was installed.
No,
it was just.
They can't do that without legislative approval.
Right. But even if they had, myself personally, I wouldn't be offended to that. I would think that would be a sense of religious freedom of religion. Would you agree or disagree? Kind of mixed here. Well, thank y'all for participating. I appreciate y'all. Y'all have a good day. Well, there you have it. There never was a Luciferian statue here, according to that report, which I think is true. It was just brought here. And I had heard that what also did happen is that somebody crashed into the Ten Commandments statue. And the funny thing is it was a Christian that did it. And that was his stated purpose, to attack that, I assume, as a perception that a religion and a state government shouldn't have any connection, which is interesting because I would actually disagree, meaning that it's like much of what goes on with the left. It sounds good at first, but when you look into it, it falls apart. Meaning, sure, we don't want to have favoritism for a religion. in terms of a state. But there is always a bias in a state as we know them, which are corporate states, and it's that they are always in charge. You see what I'm saying? And that's the double side of King Cyrus that I was speaking about earlier in his wisdom, in that, the whole idea we get of Rome, where they have a federal government and a state government, well, that comes from King Cyrus, because he would conquer people, but he didn't just kill them. He would allow the priests of that religion to actually go back to their homeland, and he would give them money to open up their same temples. Except that King Cyrus is always at the top, because he is the one, through his willpower, that is giving us all freedom. So if you believe in America, you believe in both fascism and communism, because it is about one person who develops a system, and then it has all these people carrying out his will, and that's that. So if you have any questions or ideas that you would like me to consider for further video investigation, including any websites that you have that you would like me to review, please contact me at theadventurerchannel.com/blog.